Bam! We are back on Gurus TV. Now, if you've been following sports news in the last 2 days, you would have realized that something definitely smells Vinicius. And that's what we're going to discuss right here today. Stay tuned. Indubitably, Vinicius Jr. is slowly graduating into a household name. I mean, if he isn't already. And not just recently. I mean, since the start of last season, this guy has been a constant thorn in the flesh of defenses. You can't handle Vinicius Jr. I'm sure Trent Alexander-Arnold will say the same thing to you. Or probably even Reece James will say the same thing to you. He is a predator. Now it turns out he has his own predators too. In the form of fans. Real Madrid traveled to Valencia last Sunday to play an away La Liga game. And what is making the waves right now is what happened during the course of the game. Vinicius Jr, Real Madrid's talisman, was targeted racially in the course of the game. The Valencia fans kept chanting racist abuses toward Vinicius Jr. And Vinicius Jr, as you probably would have already guessed, was not having it. Now, if you've been following La Liga closely in the last couple of months, you would have realized that Vinicius Jr. has a lot of verbal exchanges with players, a lot of feuds, almost, graduating into a physical encounter a lot of times. And I even thought, watching on TV, I even thought he was being a little too aggressive or overly assertive. Or if you'd like, for a lack of a better word, maybe a little pugnacious. But it turns out I was totally wrong. The guy was fighting a much bigger course. Racism. Yes. Valencia fans decided to demoralize Vinicius Jr. on Sunday from playing a good game by what? By trying to attack his race. How low could you stoop? Because in a sense, by attacking Vinicius Jr. through his race, definitely you are automatically attacking the black Valencia players you have. So you don't even appreciate your own players. Where do you live? Under what rock do you live? Come on, it's 2023. Wake up and smell the flowers, Valencia. So in the midst of all this racial abuse, the referee confronted Vinicius and asked Vinicius, and tried to plead with Vinicius to continue playing the game, because by law or by the rules, Vinicius can actually decide. Real Madrid, the whole Real Madrid team could actually decide to end the game. And that's where Eder Militao came in and said, hey, look, the whole section of the crowd are abusing my teammate. What are you doing about it? And the referee says, okay, according to the regulation, there's not much I can really do. But let's wait. If it comes again, then we will see what we can do. It's a shame, yes, but there's nothing more that I can do. Basically what the referee said. And then the insults kept coming. And Vinicius was also trying to have some exchanges with the crowd. And that's where the goalkeeper came in. Goalkeeper came out of nowhere and attacked Vinicius by holding him by his shirt. And Vinicius, it was an away game. He was just a stranger in no man's land. And they was just bullying and heckling him. And that is where Hugo Duro, he came and put Vinicius in a headlock. Can you believe that? Goalkeeper holding Vinicius' shirt, and then someone comes from nowhere to hold him by the neck. Put him in a total headlock. And this is where I really, really, really missed my old captain, my former captain, Sergio Ramos. This would never happen under the captaincy of Sergio Ramos. Benzema, I was not very happy with your demeanor that day. Benzema, you better do something with your captaincy. Or else give it to somebody who can protect the players. No Real Madrid player or no player, so to speak, should be subjected to the kind of treatment Vinicius was subjected to in Valencia. For someone to put Vinicius, a player of Vinicius' caliber, in a headlock. I mean, my God, are you kidding me? And Rudiger was trying to do something about it, but obviously he wanted to stay on the field. He didn't want to do anything that would, get him kicked out. And what happened? Vinicius ended up being shown a red card for trying to get himself out of the headlock. And he tried to retaliate. I don't really know the intent of his, the throw of his hand. I don't really know the intent, whether it was to hit the guy back. I think it was to, try to say, hey, get off me. But in the end, the guy who was put in the headlock, the guy whose shirt was held so ferociously, is the one who got the red card, who got sent off. And I would totally understand this if we were still under the system where the referee was supposed to have 10 eyes and see every corner of the field. But we live in a golden era. We live in an era of technology, of VAR, where we have a whole team of referees in a room paid to look at these, back shots, to go back and have a look what happened before that skipped the referee and make the correct or more accurate decision. But guess what? The VAR referee, I think, was sleeping, basically. I think either that or something really bad that I do not want to say here. Because it does not make any human sense to me that you see somebody try to suffocate someone through strangulation. Basically, it was strangulation. Put Vinicius in the headlock for a few seconds. About 5 seconds. I cannot put the video out here because YouTube wouldn't let me. But I'll put the link to the video down there. You can go and have a look for yourself. The guy Hugo Duro put Vinicius in a headlock for about 3 to 5 seconds at least. And the referee didn't see that stretch of time. The only time he saw, the VAR referee, the only time he saw to be an infringement was the millisecond Vinicius threw his hand in retaliation. Come on, man. You're just making La Liga look so rubbish. Basically. Because, look, if you're going to be like this, it's going to deter these black players from coming to La Liga. And you would know that in the history of La Liga, some of the greatest players, a few of the greatest players were black, including, in my book, the greatest right back of all time, Dani Alves, Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o. A lot of big names. You can mention them. You know them. So, if this is how La Liga is going to treat the black players, they will probably gravitate toward other leagues. And that's going to bring down the standard of La Liga very immensely. Obviously, Vinicius was going to be irate. He was mad. He was just livid. So he came on social media and he just gave his whole heart. He just poured his whole heart out. This is what is going on. La Liga belongs to racists. The league that once belonged to Ronaldo, Messi, Eto'o, Ronaldinho now belongs to racists. Vinicius just pouring his heart out, leaving no stone unturned. And I really support that because this thing needs to be eradicated, needs to be eliminated from football. If football is going to reach the levels we expect it, to reach, to make it the game for the people, it has to be everyone's game. The game where we can all be a fraternity, a family. Not the game you go and some people heckling others, some people racially abusing others, that's just wrong. Football is supposed to represent love. It's supposed to represent peace. It's supposed to bring people together and not discriminate. That is the whole intent of football. So after Vinicius' very elaborate outburst, the president of La Liga, I mean, I don't have any words to describe this man. I probably will use a word and YouTube will probably take my channel down. So I'm not going to use any words for this man, but let's just call him dumb. Right? Look, this man had the audacity to say Vinicius should not criticize La Liga because in the past they had invited Vinicius twice into this office to try to resolve the situation on how they're gonna solve racism issues. But Mr. Tebas, I have news for you. I have some words for you. Look, Vinicius is a 22-year-old who doesn't have tertiary education, who is a footballer. You don't need Vinicius to make legislations about racism. He's just a footballer. He's not a legal head. You understand what I'm saying? You are the guy who said you're a learned executive, and you have the savvy to be the leader of a whole football federation. Now deal with that. You don't need Vinicius to make laws about racism. Really, I really want to understand what Vinicius' presence in that office would have changed about the rules of racism. Vinicius is not in the judiciary. Vinicius is not in the executive. And he's not in the legislation. He is just a footballer. Why do you need Vinicius in an office before you could do something about racism? You are just a joke. I'm not the only one who thinks this way. Real Ferdinand. He thinks exactly the way I think about this excuse of a president. I think he's in over his head. He needs to step down. I really think so. I think the job needs more sophistication than he possesses. I mean, maybe he would do as a club president, but an FA president, the president of La Liga, this man is going to ruin La Liga. We're talking about an enduring problem that spans from the days of Roberto Carlos, from the days of Rivaldo, from the days of, Robinho, till now, and it's still there. And nothing has been done about it. And you're telling me that the problem cannot be solved if Vinicius is not present in your office. Are you kidding me, man? The Spanish Federation should act as swiftly and as seriously as they do when a player refuses to show allegiance to a particular community or a particular movement due to their religious beliefs. This is the same way they should treat this issue. It's the same. You expect Vinicius to go out there and represent Spain. He is your poster boy. You forgotten about that? Vinicius is your poster boy. He's representing Spain in the name of Real Madrid, playing against all the giants of Europe, and you can't even fight for him at home. That sounds like Muhammad Ali, doesn't it? But I'm serious. I'm dead serious. So since the incident on Sunday, there has been tremendous outpour of support for Vinicius Jr. from many players across the globe. And that includes Real Ferdinand again. And he thinks that Vinicius should be protected. And I think so too. He is an endangered species. I mean, that boy can play. How many players, how many talents do we have like him? He needs to be protected, not just because he's a super player, but just like any other player needs to be protected. He needs to be protected from these predators of fans. He really does need to be protected. Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, who I think would be a way better, FA president than this Tebas guy. I mean, he also has come to try to resolve the issue, to try to put the issue in better perspective and control. And that man can solve problems. So he sat Vinicius down and tried to speak to Vinicius about what is going on and ways that they are going to try to protect him. And they spoke about ways that they're going to try to file the issue, make it a criminal case, and which they did, and it was reported as a hate crime, which is exactly what that is, a hate crime. And so far, 7 people, 7 of the perpetrators, I think there are more than 7 though, but 7 so far have been arrested in Spain for racial abuse. Additionally, that team of VAR referees who were in that room, who didn't see the 3 to 5 seconds of strangulation, but managed to miraculously notice how Vinicius flicked somebody in the face, have all been fired. Apparently, there's 6 of them. They've all been fired. And I think, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, if you cannot watch football in a room, basically drink a tea and see what's going on from a screen, then you might as well go home and watch it on your TV with your wife. So yeah, that's what they're gonna do. They've been given packing orders and they're going home. They've been fired. I think, I mean, I don't know the details of they being fired, but I think that the FA suspects that they managing to skip the part where Vinicius was strangulated, and they spotting the part where Vinicius flicked the Hugo Duros's face was probably racially motivated. I mean, the FA probably interprets it that way, that they probably support the racial abusers. With some arrests finally been made, I believe it will be enough deterrent to all racial abusers across the sphere of Spain to stop the racial abuse. I'm not really sure about they stopping, but I'm sure it will probably have a marginal decrease in occurrence. The Brazilian FA also showed a gesture of support for their boy Vinicius Jr. And as a sign of solidarity, they turned off all the lights around their monumental statue, Christ the Redeemer. You know that statue in Rio, right? The one someone, yeah. So they turned all the lights off to show the darkness in which the world is, to show how much darkness we live in a place of racism. With all this in the background, I mean, it would make perfect sense if someone would expect Vinicius Jr. to leave Real Madrid. But apparently, he's not. He loves the club. He wants to stay in Real Madrid and combat racism. I mean, that's a hard fight. And I see him as a real trailblazer. That guy has gotten, my utmost respect. A real fighter. A real pioneer. A real trailblazer. As it turns out, he's still going to stay in Real Madrid. But if you ask me, I think he should leave. Yes, I love Real Madrid. Everyone knows that. But I think that with the kind of personality Vinicius has and the kind of culture the Spanish people practice, I mean, not all Spanish people, but some parts of Spain, how ruthless they are against people of color, I think it's probably not the best match for him. I mean, it would be great to see Vinicius in the Man City blue. Yes, under Pep Guardiola, I'm sure he would probably win the Ballon d'Or one day. So, left to me alone, it would be great if he left. Yes, so he doesn't have to suffer anymore. But let me know what you think in the comment section. So, now, tell me, what do you think can be done in football? What kind of laws do you think we need to implement? what kind of legislation, what can be done in football in general to minimize the occurrence of racism. Because racism is destroying our game. The game we love so much, racism is destroying it. So what can we do to minimize racism in football? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be reading.